on this beautiful Saturday. Dance with Dirt says volcanic development will inevitably lead to dynamite development, where or where you use your whole product falls apart.
Yeah, the tumbling walls development. It doesn't matter what you do, it becomes worse.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. All right, folks. So here I am. Grumpy has done all the hard work. So what I got to give a huge shout out to you, Grumpy, because I never do any prep for these, and I come in and Grumpy's done all this amazing
Well,
prep.
okay,
So
keep in mind this is more or less what I do that for my job that gives me money for which I pay my bills. So I'm used to. Here we go, because you're not going to get folks going, okay, well, where do we begin? You're going to lose everybody, right?
yeah.
So we just go, all right, here's how we start.
Okay.
All right.
So you want to give me a rundown, or do I just try and flounder my way through this?
So we've got this. Okay, yes. Are you following me? You are following me.
Following you.
Okay, great. So we're gonna do this stuff. We're gonna show. Well, we'll go with Game Runner because this has got the main function on it. And what this thing does is it sets up a game. It adds 3 players of Chet, Pat, and Sue. The random comes externally, and then it does this thing where it with a game that rolls, and this is the rolling. And once it has done that, it randomly determines that apparently 1 out of 9 times it's simulating a trivia game.
Okay.
And so it goes, hey, if you happen to roll a 7 on this,
You get the wrong
D9
answer.
for reasons.
Okay.
It's a wrong answer. Otherwise, you did that, and you keep going until while not a winner.
Okay.
Now you should already be absolutely horrified with the structure of this.
Is this wait? No. Look. I'm a teacher. I teach intro to programming. This
Right.
is a typical Tuesday afternoon for me.
Right. We call it. I call it Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right. But so that's the encapsulating. That's the main function, encapsulating this class. So let's go back over there. So you're over here and going, yeah, that's because reasons. Now we go over to game.
Yeah.
And we have, all right, here we are. This is our class game, and this is where we store the players, and this is places and purses, and whether or not they're in a penalty box. We're going to use a range sometimes.
There's no documentation for this, is there?
No, this is. Well, there's. I think there might be.
It's okay if there's no documentation. I'm just going like, okay, I gotta figure. Not only do I have to figure out how this code works, I have to figure out what the game is as well.
So there's this, which I will pasta into the thing.
Let me open this up as well. See if this does a thing. Surviving legacy code. Oh, that sounds like a good name for a text adventure. Thank you for the link.
So this Kata comes from the JetBrains folks. So yeah, spoiler, it's Canadian.
It's where all the best things come from.
Floppy heads and beady eyes, and entirely too much politeness.
We love our Canadian friends.
We do.
Yeah, I believe, and I could be wrong. When America was founded, and this is when I say we, I mean Americans. I supposedly, I don't know the royal we. I should be careful how I use the word we. I could get in trouble for that. And this is hearsay because I don't know. I heard it from I have no. This is hearsay. Exactly. So, from what I understand, is Canada has like an open invitation to join the United States from way back when we were first founded. When the United States was first founded, and Canada was like, nah, we'll pass.
No, that's alrighty. we're good up here.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for the offer, though.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the offer. All right. What are we doing today, folks? Coding Kata. So we just looked at the Game Runner, I'm gonna click over here just to show it. So we have this beautiful piece of well-written this main function here. Just to reiterate, I'm parroting back to you just to make sure I understand. So we have some
Right.
kind of game object,
Yep.
and the add method seems to be adding in players who are represented as strings, so the names of some players. We get a random number generator. We roll a six-sided die.
That's a 5-sided die.
Oh, it's a five-sided. You're correct. you're correct. A five-sided die. You roll a five-sided die and don't. Oh, that does something internally. That must do something internal. I was like, what do we do with this? I'm so used to programming where it's like, well, I would want that result, but no, we're gonna hide that result.
No, completely opaque.
We're hide that result inside of here. Then we're gonna randomly check if we're gonna generate a number between 0 to 9, and if it happens
0
to
to
be
8, because that's how rand.next works.
God. I'm so good at this game. We're gonna see if we get a 7 for some reason, because that's clearly what we need to do. The game has a wrong answer. Otherwise, we get a right answer, so we win. Not a winner was correctly answered. This returns a boolean of some sort. Okay, all right. I think I understand. I don't. But now I know that this is a number between.
You know what it does, and what it does hurts you a little.
It hurts me a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is 0 to 8, between 0 and 9, exclusive 9.
Yeah.
I got it. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So horrible, right? Okay. And then I will hold on. I will stop follow you, and I will go to the game class. And we've got players. They're in a list. We've got places. That's an array, and this is where you are on a board in the places.
Okay.
Versus
So this
is how
we have a board of size 6. Perfect. Just like Monopoly.
it's well, and we're gonna track each piece of information about the player differently in a different collection, because it's an 80s micro port of whatever. Who knows? And then you can get into a penalty box, and that's true or false for each of the potentially 6 players. Now we've got all these questions, and that's a linked list for reasons. And the only four knowledge areas in existence are pop, science, sports, and rock. Not music.
Okay.
Rock, because as you are aware, there is no other type of music.
Well, there's pop
but
question.
Rock.
Pop music. Is pop not pop music?
No, that's pop.
Pop.
Well, I'm
Soda
from the
pop?
Midwest, so that means soda.
Soda questions. Okay.
These are questions about soda, I assume.
That's like tab is a pop. Is that correct?
Tab would be a pop.
Okay. I've never had tab, but I hear it's better than spaces.
Well, depends on who you ask, of course.
Okay. So let me make a quick comment on what I do like about this.
Okay.
They've whoever's written this code, it has used private. I like private. I like to hide.
We haven't gotten very far. Just wait.
I do like that.
You're right.
So folks, private is a good thing. You don't want these are called member variable fields member variables. I like that they're hiding their private members, So
Yeah.
private keeps your members hidden. So we have some private members hidden here. I like that they're using read only. That's a good thing. Immutability tends to reduce complexity. Of course, it's read only on lists, so you can still modify the lists and arrays. And the naming convention is consistent. They have an underscore, consistent with Microsoft. Yep. And then they use camel case, not Pascal case or the weird M, which I see a lot in C# code, where they put the M at the beginning.
Well, that's people who used to code in C++ during the 90s, and then they just brought it with them because they thought we were still doing that.
Well, look, back when you were using TextPad, you needed that M there, so you knew, this thing's a member variable,
M underscore DW, and put the type in there. Hungarian notation, they called that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I just wanted to comment that there's a few things that I think they've done right here.
We're in the shallow end up here.
It's okay. We're gonna wade in. We're gonna
We
wade
are.
into this
Yeah.
nice and
Yeah.
slow.
Are you used to the temperature? Are you used to the? Okay. All right.
Look, I'm knee deep right now. Knee deep.
Right. So we have a current player, again, private int current player. So that's going to be, we expect that to be an index into all of these things.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh boy. So okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So we're getting a little chillier in this pool. All right. Yeah. And then private bully is getting out of penalty box. I'm assuming that applies to only the current player.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Now, when we construct the game, we have to make all of the questions. So our questions, we're going to add them all. Now, in most cases, we're saying, hey, we'll just add this plus whatever. But this one, we're going to actually call a different function called create rock question. And it's public. So how
These
you feeling
questions are
now?
good. These questions are good. Pop question 1.
Pop question 1.
All right. Oh, rock
No.
question has a. Okay.
No.
All right.
I told you this one. Yes. This we don't like. This is a code smell right here. This thing.
This is a real code. It's also public. In case you wanted to generate one of these strings, you could.
If that's it's part of the contract.
I already know what refactor I want to do here. We're gonna. All right. Let's continue. Wavy, welcome back, my friend. All right.
Boy. And now we have another one called is playable. So, and that's whether or not. So, and that's this one saying, well, if you have at least 2 players.
Assuming how many players? What a good name. How many players?
Right. So now we got to the add one where now pay close attention.
All right.
Okay. So players, you're going to add player name to that player, to the players. And that's adding that to the string list. Now, places at how many players is going to be 0.
So it's supposedly putting this player at the first spot on the board.
Oh, but does it?
Supposedly.
But does it? We're gonna look ahead and go, oh, that's based on the number of players .count.
Well, yeah. So the index.
So it's 1 when you get to this line. How many players is 1?
It's index 1. So player 0. Okay, beautiful,
isn't it? And so we go, all right. So we set it to it's at the 0 position. He's got no points, and they're not in the penalty box. And joy of joys, we write some stuff to the console.
They are player number. Okay, and then the player count. Well, normal humans index by 1, start at 1.
Right.
So they get that part right. It looks like okay, and then
of course we always return true.
Amazing.
Okay. Oh, good. We're returning good. True. Did you add it was successful all the time. All right. Now how many players? It gives the player count.
Okay.
And then we get into the role. So first it reports some things out. And now we were going to have some, okay, are they in the penalty box? And then now the role got passed in. So that got passed in over in game runner. Gets passed in whatever the role is.
Okay.
So if you rolled an even number, if you rolled an odd number. So if roll modulo 2 is not equal to 0, so it has to be a 1, which means that has to be an odd number. So if you roll an odd number, then you're getting out of that penalty box.
Okay.
And we're going to write stuff about that. And we're going to do some math here to move your guy. There's only so many spaces on the board, so this allows you to wrap it around. And this is going to report out you are at whatever location, and you're going to say what the category is. We'll look at current category in a minute.
Okay.
And then we're going to ask a question. If you didn't, then Um, you did not get out of the penalty box.
Okay, so then you're still in jail.
Yeah,
So,
still in
so we do
jail.
have a question from Smash. I wants to know when we're going to see some bad code.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's very. You're funny, Smith. That's just the that's the British sense of humor there. It's like, so when do we see the
Yes.
bad code?
Yes, Mr. Extreme says this is a terminal game. So we're doing a coding kata exercise. So we've inherited a chunk of code that I'm assuming doesn't work as it's
No, it does.
supposedly.
Okay, here's something. So I will. I've got
It
the
works.
terminal. I'm at the terminal. So I will. Where am I at? I'm .NET run. Yep. So .NET run.
Just trivia,
Just
maybe.
.NET run.
Try .NET Run trivia. Oh, -- proj. Yeah.
Or
You could just move into that directory and make your life a little better. I'm a big fan of making our lives better. Okay. So, all right. So, Mr. Extremely, our goal is the code is a little bit or a lot of it messy, depending on who you ask. Someone might say it's good code, someone might say it's bad code. I think our goal is to refactor it to be more readable and more manageable. Is that correct, Grumpy?
and more maintainable. And can we actually into us? But we'd like it to be in a place where we could make changes and be confident that those changes work.
Gotcha.
And not break stuff. And most importantly, don't break things.
Don't break things. Okay. Yeah, so right now we're essentially walking through the code, doing it, not necessarily a code review, but like taking note of the things
Trying to
that
understand.
are like trying to understand. Yeah.
Oh, and then of course, so this is in the case where you're not in the penalty box. Then we move our piece, which is identical to this. These two lines are identical to these two lines. So no problem there. No maintenance problem there.
Okay.
And we I think those are also the same. Yes. So yeah, so basically this is identical to this.
And anyone who watches me knows when we have a code that's identical, there's nothing different, even when there's a little bit different. It's sort of a code smell. That's a code smell.
Right. So we notice, hey, that's something we want to go after, right? And then we say, asking a question. So if the current category is pop or science, and it says, it'll tell you that one, and then it removes that question. So basically each of those linked lists are effectively a card stack. If you will.
Yeah.
And same thing for all of the other ones. So yes, it checks for that, and that's what that does. It's a bit repeaty, and we go, seems like
so there's
probably
some
do something with that.
Some manageability that can be done there. This one,
and then we get to what's the current category?
I think we've all written code similar to this.
No.
I don't know that we've written code quite like the 048 is a little bit. We've written code.
My experience tells me like this looks like a job for the modulus operator.
Correct. Do you know? I wonder if someone could write a program called like the what would we call it? So the D factor. So we're factoring the D factorer, the D refactorer, which takes code that's written a little bit nicer and
unrolls all the loops.
And it says, modulus. Let's expand that out. Let's do something. Yeah. Anyway, this feels like it's gone through some horrible meat grinder machine that's like, all right, we're gonna
add the person. Well, what are we going to have the default as? We want rock. The person likes that category the most. That's just, we like rock. What do you want to do with your life? I want a rock.
It's true. It's true. Okay.
Okay, so now we get to those. There were those things like there was correctly answered, And if you're in the penalty box, then you get out of the penalty box, and we determine whether or not you win. And we move to the next player. And if the player then get current player 0.
Yeah. Okay. I think.
Yeah, there's this thing, and then there's also same thing here. This being identical to this. And then else, because now I have to scroll back up. So, if I'm not in the penalty box, then answer was correct. 4 exclamation. Correct. Answer was correct. I don't know what that means either, but it's a correct answer. So you get a point, and you now have this much gold. Did the player win? And again, we have that lovely thing the third time. And we return with it. So basically, this is the same determine the winner doohickey. And it actually looks like it's copied and pasted because it has the same blank line.
Perfect.
And then over here, the wrong answer has, again, that stuff. And it returns true.
Okay. Beautiful. Wrong answer, always. True.
Return true. It was wrong. It was so wrong.
It's like, question was correct. That's the true here. So, all right. So I need to ask, just for clarification here. This program, we don't want to change any of the output. It should continue to output as it is.
Yes, we have to maintain behavior.
Maintain behavior. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask your feelings on this. A lot of times when I'm doing code like this where I have to maintain a behavior in that way, I will take the output, save it in a file, and write a test that compare. Like we'll do an output compare. So do these things actually continue to output the exact same? That's like usually one of the first tests I'll actually write.
Yes, well, one of the chief initial difficulties is how do we capture console.writeLine?
Yeah.
So that quickly comes up because I've run this for a couple of different sessions, and that comes up fairly quickly.
Yeah. So do we need? So here, would you like my suggestion? Can I say what I usually
love
do?
your suggestion. So here's a test that I wrote that I could actually. So these are characterization tests. They don't necessarily need to be failing from the get-go, although it's good to change something to make sure that it is falsifiable. But here you're trying to document what the code does with tests. Now, I haven't given this one a good name. So you do something useful with a meaningful test name. Game should, and it should. So what I did was as simple as possible, like, okay, make a game. And that's our subject. And also, very, very important here, and I'm going to put these comments in, but I'm going to remove them as soon as I add them because they're just distracting comments. So 3 parts of a good test. They do this arrange.
AAA, arrange, act, assert. Yeah.
And assert. And with a blank line in between them so that you can easily see which part you're doing. But I wanted to put the comment there so that you can anybody who's not familiar with writing a test, that's why those spaces are there. And fairly soon I will have more lines clumped together with this or clumped together down here.
Yeah. Do something useful with a meaningful test name. So
now this one, if we want to step one is, can we describe what this test is asserting?
Yeah, we can't. I would say the name of this test is not great.
No, it's not great. But do you have a suggestion for an improvement?
I would love to write a test that says verify original output. So this is going to require something external, though. This is like. So let me ask if this. I don't know if this counts entirely as a unit test. Right. So one of the things
we're going to rename this test because this one's here and we like this one, right? This one actually does something useful. So game should not game should be initially be
game unplayable.
unplayable.
Yeah.
Well, spelling is hard. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna quickly run it. I'm too far in. CD dot.
Also, I'm going to ask the chat, is the font big enough? I reduced the size a little bit because there was enough. The methods were not giant. They're not giant methods. The methods were big enough that I was having trouble seeing them all on one screen. So I made the font a little bit smaller.
Old eyes.
Thanks, BK. I appreciate that. Beliar says, I always try to go along with the fact attribute and write the name like one. Yeah.
This is one that I borrowed this convention from a guy, Kevlin Henney. You can.
Yeah, I've adopted this. I really like this. You want your tests, and I'll let you say it, Grump, because I don't want to.
Yeah, you want it to be able to read. So your class is going to be name of class that you're testing should, and then you read it. So when I read the class name plus the name of the function, game should initially be unplayable. Now we don't know what this next test is, so I just put game should do something because names are hard.
Yeah.
So I am going to.
And someone might, the first time I
Henny
talk. Oh, thank you for that link. Thank you for that link. And one thing
where I believe this is one where he discusses these. This is how he names them and why. And I found it convincing, and maybe you will, but I'm not going to tell you how to name your unit tests.
Yeah. And what I'll say is I've adopted this. I really like this particular instance. So my first time I saw this, just so everyone knows, it's on stream. The first time we did this, it's going like, oh, geez, this name is making me hurt. And the grumpy game dev convinced me, well, your test should stick out. You want people to know that, hey, these are tests. And in fact, it's so different than the usual camel case or Pascal case name test that I love these underscores. I love that in there. So I've adopted this. I really like this. I think the reasoning is fantastic. Okay. I'm
curious, like, can we redirect console.writeline?
I believe we can. We can. So console has an output stream. You can change the output stream. So my suggestion is we
redirect that to like a string stream.
Yeah, my suggestion was going to be, can we essentially save the original output? So run the program as right now into a text file, and this will be called like our original.txt.
Right, but it's difficult because we have random numbers.
We can change random to, we can set the seed on the random, I believe, as well.
That is true.
So I would So I would recommend we set a seed here.
Okay.
So that way, so for anyone who doesn't know, randomization it turns out it's really hard to make computers do random things because they follow a sequence of instructions. When we generate random numbers, it typically does something interesting where it says, well, it's going to be random enough this time. So there's something called pseudo-random. Computers do what's called pseudo-random. And you can actually say, and you may have seen this in like Minecraft or other games where it generates thing, you can set a seed. A seed says, this is sort of my starting off point. This is sort of my starting off point where I'm going to start generating numbers from here. So we get a repeatable, semi-random sequence of outputs, sequence of numbers. So anyone who's not familiar with what a random seed is. Beautiful. All right, so Grumpy, if you see this command...
I've done that with that's random 0. That just
random 0. Perfect. You need to be careful. Smeb says you need to be careful of piping output in tests as they may run it. So Smeb, I don't think we're going to pipe the output in tests. I think we're going to redirect console.writeline for a specific test to go to a buffer, and then we're going to load this file and compare that buffer to this file. I think that's the plan. That's at least how I would approach it. Grumpy, does that seem like a reasonable plan?
That seems good to me. We basically need to find some way to
Yeah.
Now,
So we want.
there's a way that I did it both in the times that we've done this, right? And some people think it's okay, and other people are like that's a bit far reaching for a test-driven development hop.
Yeah, let me hear it. I'd love to know your
so
thought.
I will go in here and where are we at? So git add a git commit m added output txt for 0 seed. Yes, that's what we got. All right, so I got a cd dot dot. And so what I've got here in game is there are all these places where I've got console.writeline.
Yep.
And so what I want to do is have private func, nope, not func, action string output equals console.writeline.
So you're setting up a delegate. Is this correct? You're setting up a delegate that you're going to call rather than console writing. I often will do this using a dependency injection. So I'll create something.
Oh, just don't get ahead of me because we're going to do that.
All right, cool.
So then all the other places other than this one
become right out.
This is a rename, which is a fairly safe refactor to do. I'm going to have to redo this one as right line because it's going to go right out equals right line. And we go, poo.
Yeah, and then you switch that one back. So we couldn't see the Control F you were doing there, but just so everyone.
I can show you now. We can do a find, I think. So we now have any place where there was a console right line is now right out.
Exactly. So we're doing a console.
Was the first step.
So we have now abstracted console.writeline to be calling a delegate that we can swap out. Right, it's currently private, so a little bit harder to swap out. But the idea being that we can easily redirect the console's output so that we can test it. Which is, you might have, what we, was mentioned previously, hard to test when a console output's going. And so this here on line 23 in C#, in other languages, it might be called something else. C#, this is called a delegate. In some languages, you might be called a lambda function. But essentially, you
can use these terms interchangeably.
Sort of interchangeably, yeah. So we have a function we can call, and that function can be reassigned here. And I'm assuming.
And actually, I want this to be read-only.
Beautiful. But my assumption is we're gonna.
If you like, you could type in the thing where we're going to inject it.
Yeah. So this is, a lot of people ask, what is the dependency injection? This is a perfect place to do dependency injection. We're actually going to make it when you construct this thing. We'll call this writer, I suppose.
You could say right out because we can do this. You can do this arrow
like this, and
we are in order to not break existing code, say equals null.
Equals null. Yeah. Okay. So we don't want to break the existing code. We need to have a default constructor. I was going to recommend we make a default constructor. Can we do console? The default being console.writeline. It won't let us do that. Yeah, it needs to be a constant, right?
Yep. It'll do null, and what we'll do is we'll coalesce it.
Perfect.
On line 26 and a half.
Perfect. Okay. So we have said that now when you construct a game, you can specify, and we haven't written the code to do this assignment, we're going to allow whoever's constructing it to specify how console write lines should be treated. So you could do some cool stuff with this. Maybe you change it from a console game to a UI game, and instead of write line, it actually outputs to a web server, outputs to a GUI. People don't like when I say GUI, GUI. You could output it anywhere, output it to a log, whatever, and I think that's what we're planning to do.
That's what we're about to do in order to actually assert things because we're completely opaque.
This here is the injection. I feel like dependency injection always feels like a strong. I don't know if it's actually the correct word, but
it is a dependency, and we
you're
are
injecting
it.
Yeah, so it does fit. I think people get scared when they hear dependency injection. Most people are actually like kind of doing it without realizing a lot of the time. Anyway, here we go.
But the old term was you would put a hook into your code. Hook. That's how you would used to refer to that.
Okay.
Okay, so now after line 26, you're going to want to do this arrow write out equals the thing that you just passed.
Yeah, so we could do write out here equals write out. And
question.
Oh,
before the semicolon.
The coalesce. Oh, you don't want to do the coalesce. The coalescing is. I see. If write out is null, so this is the coalescing operator.
Right, and then you take the part of equals right line out of line 23.
You're telling me I should do this?
Yep.
Okay. So what this does, this is sort of a rewrite of. You can think of it like this. It's saying if write out is null, do the thing on the right. Otherwise, do nothing.
Otherwise, you're cool.
Yeah. So it's the coalescing operator. Okay. One thing I would like to do is I would like to add this as an underscore here.
As you wish, sir.
This is just the Microsoft naming convention. So you can avoid using the this keyword because it turns out it's really hard.
And it does make it fit in with the other fields.
Yeah.
So yes, totally fine.
The this keyword says refer to the field, for anyone who's curious. It's hard to have a conversation about the this keyword because you keep saying the word this, and it's
pronouns.
About the keyword.
Pronouns make life difficult.
Yeah. So to avoid that, we use an underscore and follow a convention. The null coalescing operator. Thank you, Smab. Correct. Okay.
Okay. So now, if I do a running of the tests, which I shall do. Everything's still fine. And whatever. So now we can go and let's go. Well, then let's get commit minus a minus m inject the right line.
Okay. Perfect.
Oh, did we give links to this?
It's in repo? The WAT command. So if people want to find this repo, you can find it there. And this will occasionally. Let's pin this. There, it's pinned.
Yeah, you can take a look there. And actually, we're on a branch. We're on the TCC TGDD Kata September 2023 branch. So that's...
I like that. This one hard to pronounce, easy to read. I don't know if it's easy to read. Easier to read.
Well, you know what it's about. It's like the Captain Coder, the Grumpy Game Dev Kata September 2023. That's
perfect. Okay.
So now we've got a way of capturing stuff, and we can take a look at Game Runner, and one of the first things it does is it just adds a game. So recommending should add players or add a player.
Add a player. Okay.
Right.
So the setup. So we'll create a game.
Yep. So the subject is a new game.
What
typing or are you typing?
You're typing. I think I'm driving. Is that correct?
Okay. That's cool. But you just need to know because if nobody types,
then nothing happens. Yeah. So we have arrange, and then the act is going to be adding. So subject.add, and we'll go ahead and add in Grumpy or player name. Perfect. Even better. And
one of the things, so we're going to, nope, not that. So can I do constant here?
Const, I think, has to be, can we do a const there? Ooh, I learned something new. All right, so our mom's going to play.
How do we assert anything? And that's an interesting thing. But so we go var log equals new list Wait, not linked list. And you're going to absolutely love this.
Okay. So notice, for anyone who's watching, log.add is a method on our list, and that is going to be used in place of console.writeLine, which was our delegate. So we're passing in this method as a parameter. And now in our game, the action that's going to happen every time we were doing a console.writeLine before, instead, we're going to actually add that string to a list. And this will allow us to assert, hey, did this output the thing that we were expecting it to output? So when we're talking about doing assertions, that's exactly Beliar asked at list of string.add takes a string, so it's compatible. So the method signatures, the delegate signatures are the same. It takes in a string and it returns void. That's what if we look at our action here, the action is one that accepts a string, and actions are essentially functions methods that return no value but consume
it's a void.
one.
It takes a string.
Yes. So if we were to look at the signature of this, it is a list of string, returns void, accepts a string. Okay.
Okay, so now one of the things we can certainly assert that we have no idea. So we're going to say log count should be, I have no idea, so I'm just going to say it's 0, and that'll be wrong.
We'll get the information when we run it.
We're characterizing.
Yep.
And it's going to tell us how many there are, and then we're going to put it there.
So when we look at
it should be 0, but was 2. Okay, well, good. I think there's 2.
An alternative approach would be to examine the code like a madman and figure it out.
We're going to just put like a should contain. I don't think it should actually contain something. So we want to do some sort of assertion that these things should contain and should contain, right?
Yeah.
We're going to check each of the lines. And yes, these wind up being very brittle tests, but it's also very brittle code.
Well, it allows us to ensure that if we modify something, we'll know immediately if we broke the original output.
Exactly. Okay, so the very first one where log 0 is like your mom was added. So we'll say, all right, so something about the player name.
So we're going to assert
and then
the
we
player
should be
name
able to get
was
past
added.
that one. They are player number 1.
They are player number 1.
And we pass. So
okay. So we've added in this test. So if we refactor the add method,
I don't think we quite have.
We're
enough,
only,
but
yeah,
we're starting to pin it down.
We are able to test that the output doesn't change.
Oh, and also there's one more thing that we can assert.
There's like a player count or how many players method, something along those lines.
Is playable.
Ooh, is playable. Should be true. We have at least... Oh, it's not.
It has to be 2.
You need at least 3.
So if we say that you should be able to play with 1, we'll be able to test. This should fail then.
We need 2 players. You don't want to play with yourself. At least not a trivia game.
You speak for yourself, sir.
Look, this is a family show. This is a family show.
Okay, so yes, now it is not playable. Okay. So that pins down when you've added a single player.
Okay. Do we want to? Are we planning? So let me ask. I know in game there's like a how many players method that returns the number of players that exist. We could test that.
Is that?
I think it's public.
Is it? It is. We could assert.
Sadly, it's public, so we can't eliminate this.
Okay.
So how many players should
We'll say 0 because we know that's wrong.
Yeah, so it's wrong.
And then it will tell us.
and then we'll rewrite it, say should be 1.
Episode should be 0, but it was 1. Nope, fooled you. I tested for the wrong thing on purpose so that I could get the result I wanted. Okay.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So just so everybody knows, we are likely to have to span this one over multiple sessions because it is
the doozy.
It's a doozy.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, Grumpy wants to be here all day.
No,
this when I was looking at it, I was like, "Oh boy, it's gonna be." This
one's a piece of work, but very, very useful to know. And then, if you watch the whole series, right, you'll see it's like, oh, okay. Right here, you go, how in the world are you going to get this to a point where it's not stupid?
Here's so it is. You often can't do what I'm about to suggest. Usually with my students, they bring me a piece of code that's this bad, but this small. It's a relatively small piece of code. I usually will tell them, you need to start over and you need to design it better from the get-go. That said, we do exercises where we refactor larger chunks of code where there's more code surrounding it. And sometimes you don't have the ability to do that. But it's this thing where it's like, how do you even start understanding this? So I really like this exercise. So thank you for bringing this one.
No, this one's a good one. Oh, I have to do that upstream. That's what I haven't done.
Dash U. Or
insert.
Copy and paste.
Shift insert. There we go.
Perfect.
There, now the branch is up to date. Okay. So next, we had, I think in the other sessions, I wound up adding 2 players.
Okay. That makes sense. Get in a second player here.
Add 2 players. And player name, do I F2 here? Player name 1. And const string player name 2 equals Nacho Mama.
I like that. I like that pun. Also, I like nachos, so it's like, is it
who doesn't like nachos?
Is it the person that brings you nachos? Is it your nacho mama, or is it
Nacho Mama?
Nacho Mama. All right.
Okay, so when we run this, we don't expect that any of the assertions are valid because
so
that's what happened there.
Yeah. So I'm assuming it's going to fail on line 40, saying should be 4. Freedom now.
That makes sense. If add always does the same thing.
Correct.
And we're about to find out. And it appears to.
So I think we're going to go to 4. And then my guess is going to be that, and we don't have to change this yet.
Guess, right?
Okay, yeah, my guess is that it's going to be do, and player number is going to be 2 there.
Okay.
I will,
and we'll test it just for that part.
Yeah, just for that
see
much.
We're right. Up, it was checking on the is playable line. It should be false, but now it is true.
It's true. So I believe. All right, so we have 2 players.
And then we're going to guess at how many players. It won't be 1, but we will verify it by running it real quick.
Yeah, my guess is 2.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we now correctly characterized 2 players.
Okay. And in the original game runner, I think it adds 3. But
we'll take it at least up to there because we know that it needs to work with that. Because the funny thing is if you go all the way to add a 6th player, it throws an exception.
Well, that would be the array size there. But that's
it goes over the array size.
That's some private information that we could potentially since the private
you can expose it, but then you're like, okay, I don't have the ability to fix that.
I was gonna say
I've got now.
Yeah, exactly. I say private things are private. No one needs to know about them. So if we're
embarrassing exceptions being thrown.
Yeah. Okay. I like this. So far. So far making progress.
Or at least we are at least confusing motion for progress, and that's something.
We've written code, which that's progress, right? That's how lines of code is how you measure.
We write code. Code is write code, right? No,
I
they
I
don't.
once, you know, I once had to write. I was an expert on a law case. I was an expert on a law case, and I had to write a whole thing about how lines of code is not a good measure of productivity.
Right.
This
But
is,
that doesn't. They still think that way though.
yeah.
Okay, we've added a third player.
Can we make some guesses? Or
We
are we
can
gonna?
make some
Well,
guesses.
we can see it fail first. We can see it fail
We can
first.
see it fail. We go, yep, it does more than just adding two players, right?
All right. And if history repeats itself, I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern.
Right.
Equal gaming, I like nachos too. The equal gaming, welcome
Yeah,
back.
good. All right. More nacho love.
Yeah, so my guess is there's going to be 6 lines. If history has taught me anything, there will be 6 lines. And it will be, player name 3 and player number 3, exactly equal gaming. It should still be playable, and then there's going to be 3 players. But that
Okay.
that would be that's my programmer intuition. It took me 20 years to develop this intuition and be at this point,
Doesn't
Grumpy.
happen
So
overnight, man. Doesn't
took me
happen overnight.
over 20 years. I've been programming for it. I remember when I hit 20, I was like, I can finally say 20 years. So I used to say
Yeah.
over 15. I did a lot of freelancing, and when I hit 10, I was like, I've been programming for over 10 years. And 15 felt like a milestone, and now 20, I'm like, I don't know that I ever need to change that 20 plus. That's pretty good.
See, what
That's
we ought to do is form a little LLC that we do consulting work with, and there's a couple other people that if you just a few others, you only need about a handful of people, like more than 100 years combined.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? We've been trying to find housing. We're trying to move. We're not a huge fan of our current living situation. We rent. So we've been looking. All the nice houses are in these. We'll finally find one. We're like, oh, this place looks great. And we'll call them up and be like, yeah, we're excited. We want to apply. And they said, well, just to make sure you know, this is a 55 up community. And I'm like, man, our combined ages. We should just tell them our combined ages. Yeah, together, we're over 55. Yeah, 55. That's perfect. Yeah, I would like to. But yeah, I love that. Over 100 years of programming experience in our group. We just gotta add a lot of people,
But
to
you don't have to add that many people. So if you've got more than 20, I've got more than 20. We can get Fuel
brings.
and Graham, and
We just gotta add Smab, and we'll be there.
you get Smab, your
Smab,
Cyril in
you
there.
you got 50 years of coding experience. Jeez, man. Someday I want to be a wizard too.
It's okay. We're gonna run this. We're gonna run this, and we're gonna pass, right? That's what I guess. So, hey, look at
Beautiful. Freedom Dow, you were programming MySpace. Is that you, Tom? Freedom Dow, are you actually Tom?
Tom. Actually, no. He's in the UK, so it's they don't say it's Tom.
Tom.
In the UK, it's not Tom. See, we have a sound. There's a Tom.
Damn. Wavy, we might not get to questions today, but I'll leave it in the queue for next time.
Third player. Okay. Oh. That's M. No, not add. I want commit.
Oh, Freedom, that reminds me. I wrote in Visual Basic. I wrote a MySpace editor. You could download it and edit it, and it would generate code to put on your MySpace to customize the screen. And I remember I think it's not the first thing I ever sold, but it was one of the first things I ever sold, and had it like connected to a PayPal account where you'd like buy it and I'd send you a key. And I sold 4 copies of it. It was incredible. It was very exciting.
So, Fuel is trying to troll us, but I will say that between me and Fuel, we have nearly 100 years of breathing experience.
Speak for yourself. Look, I still, breathing's hard. I still inhale water on a daily basis.
No. You breathe air every day. It's true. You may not be very good at it. We didn't say you're experienced.
That's fair.
Skilled.
That's fair. I have over 30 years of water breathing experience. How many people can say that?
Fantastic.
I'm not even a fish.
You're not.
It's true.
That's
Okay.
it. Dropping the mic. I'm out of here.
All right. So we have this.
Okay, we got players 1, 2, and 3 we've done, which we know that the game runner will do. And the very next thing that it does is it does a game.roll.
Game.roll. That is the scariest, not scariest, but like I do not like that line of code there at all. So much feels hidden from me.
So there's nothing opaquer than the roll method.
Yeah, it might as well say like do thing.
Do stuff, play game.play.
Ooh, I love rolls. Let me bake one of those up.
Love me some rolls, man.
Yes, I'll take up to 5 rolls. Change it to the biscuit. We're gonna name it biscuit.
For
Dindle, it is Christmas. It is
What?
Christmas. Thank you for the what? Okay. Um
So we're gonna actually. So here's my. We've been going for 45 minutes. We're gonna go through a roll, a single test on roll, and then we're going to evaluate how much do we hate it, and how much are we going to go with another test on roll. These are awful, and then or is it going to be a to be continued and then it's question time?
yeah, I like it. I like that. Okay. So can we just for anyone who's just coming in, we can start this. We're gonna take a look at roll just so everyone can be real sad with me. Ooh, I like that autocomplete. Given when
It
then.
really, but it does give and when then. And
Yeah.
we prefer the AAA. So should roll for current player. And from our setup, we are still going to just steal these things.
Yep. Keep those consistent.
Although at this point we go, okay, we've already verified all of the stuff up until now.
Correct.
We're going to do a log.clear.
I like that. I like that.
So we don't have to continually do all that junk, right? And then we're going to subject.roll. There's going to be... So wait, this is now part of the range.
Oh, that's what we're doing, Thindle. We're doing a range assert act. We just not the autocomplete comment came in there that way.
Die roll equals. We'll just start with 1 because that's as low as it'll go. We're going to roll the die roll, and we assume that log is going to have something in it. So we're going to say log.count. Count should be 0 because we have no idea. And we'll run it because it won't be 0. And so that's our prediction.
Okay. All right.
.NET test.
Okay, so it fails. I don't know why the output's not coming through on mine well.
Well, that's because I have it's right here.
There it goes.
So, but should be 5.
Should be
Delightful.
5. Okay. So it should be 5. Was 0, so we'll change it to 5. And then we're going to have to find out what those 5 are.
Well, we can take a look at output, at our output.txt to kind of have a... Okay, they roll, so we have a... Week. Okay.
Chat is the current player. Okay, so around line 7,
the first 5.
I believe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Now, we don't know... Well, we'll just... How about we just steal that?
What you can't just steal things. I guess you can.
No.
It's not against
Yeah,
what rules. Watch me.
Societal norms. Fair. All right. So log 0 should contain. We'll just bunk, 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 and bunk. And a 1, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4. So it should contain. Well, we'll start with what exactly it says there, and be wrong about it.
And then we'll swap those variables out. Yeah.
Because why think about it? clean all of this up. We'll run a test.
Amuga, thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we have your mom being the current player instead of this one. That's okay. So we just plop player name 1 in there. That's great.
No, your mom. Not your mom, your mom.
No, it's your mom. Y-E-R. Why is this so hard?
People, pay attention. Pay attention. Exactly, Freedom. No space. Dota. Too many spaces. One space is too. It's one word.
Okay. So
one word.
Fun fact, Captain. So I happen to work IRL with Dota 2 Attitude. So he has been through a couple of 1 or 2 sessions of this particular kata with me.
Okay. Yeah. Rolled, and then it's gonna be our die roll here.
What is it called? Die roll? Yeah, die roll. That's German for the roll.
Oh, I thought we were just murdering, biscuits here.
Biscuit murderer. It's the biscuit massacre. I need me digestives. Okay, so it's not going to be Chet.
And it'll be player 1.
Hate that guy, Chet.
What did Chet do to you?
At my wedding.
Chet. Oh, okay. Well, look, weddings. It's I don't know if you've ever been to a wedding.
I shouldn't have had the open bar. I know.
All right, let's.
Okay, the category is science.
How do we know it's science?
Because it pooped it out.
I missed you running the test. Oh, it's all my it stopped following the scroll down there at the bottom. Hang on.
Oh, sorry about that.
There we go. No, that's my fault.
It's having seizures down there sometimes. But yes, It is science. So now, test should pass. You shall pass.
So we got some test passing. What is there anything else that we're able to test at this point? I don't know. What does our API in the game look like? What are the methods so I would be curious if there's anything that we can actually test here.
So we have private chameleon. There's create rock question. Is playable, which we have tested.
Yeah. No, there's not much we can test here. Yikes.
We have tested how many players.
Yeah.
We're just getting started with roll. Let me scroll down. That's private. That one's private. Was correctly answered, but in order to do that, you have to get some stuff established with roll first.
Yeah.
And then also wrong answer.
Okay.
So yes, we're on a roll, and then the other ones.
Yeah, this is just a nightmare to test, right?
Yes,
so that's the opacity, the opaqueness of this particular code makes it very difficult to test. And so we're essentially, this is why we had to do that dependency injection to be able to actually check out and look at the output here. Is we're trying to make sure that the code doesn't, the functionality does not change. All right. So anyone who's here,
that's true.
We have a chunk of code that is pretty gnarly. It's small but gnarly. You can write small gnarly code, and we are trying to not change the functionality. So we're doing refactoring here, and so to be able to test that our refactor isn't changing anything, we're actually writing the test here. Yeah, trying to scrap it all. That's usually what I do at this point. Is like, okay, this is a nightmare. Let's scrap it.
Now, this one's small enough that you would just say rewrite it, but that's not the point.
Correct. That's not the point. That's why it's a coding kata. It's an exercise to improve your ability to make us better developers, make us stronger developers.
So that we get swole as developers.
We got to swole up. Yeah, that's right.
We get swole.
This is our spinach. All right. Cool.
Okay, so I've just while you were explaining, I factored out the expected category into a const because I'm about to do something.
Okay. Let's check it out.
So let me
Learn me.
make sure that we're good. Get
Capsplaining.
refactor test. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is these. I want to vary these things up here.
Are we gonna write
And
a
I
theory?
want to become a theory.
Ooh. So for anyone who's not familiar, we're using XUnit. XUnit allows us to parameterize our tests. Most unit testing frameworks allow us to parameterize these. It'll actually make multiple tests. It's going to generate multiple tests for us, and we can put these in the method call now, and allows it to run these multiple times.
In the process of going from a fact to a theory, you isolate the thing at the top, and it becomes a theory with only one set of inline data, and you run them again.
Yes.
So that you are certain that that was a safe change.
All right. Okay. So we passed.
You commit to theory. Okay. Now I'm going to do a thing where the roller rolls a 1 through a 5. And I'm going to set us up for them, all of them.
And the die roll determines the category?
The die roll, so you move to a different place, and then each place, so it's kind of like a game of Trivial Pursuit, where you'll have a different colored space, and that corresponds to whatever category. So now, because I know that there's only 4 types of category, 3 of these tests are going to fail.
Yes. So we're going to run it again. And now down here, the outcome is telling us. What is it?
So this one where I pass a 4, it is pop. So if I put
and pop, I want to call out real quick, just to people watching. Notice we added each one of these becomes a new test. It's not like it's running this multiple times. It is. Well, but now you'll notice in our output, we've actually failed 3 tests because each one is a test. That's the
this one test is now 5.
Yes.
Okay, so when we're rolling a 2, it is sports. And then when we're rolling, when we roll a 3, it is rock, everybody's favorite one. And now, for our next trick, everything should pass.
Yigo Renji asked, there was a method that returns which category from which die roll, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So in our game here, when we do the roll,
it's here, and I believe it's private.
Current category.
Current category.
Oh, this is really a beautiful, one of the most well-written pieces of code I've ever seen.
Yeah, but yes, it makes me weep because of its beauty.
And it's actually not based off the die roll. I'm looking at this here. It's actually based off where the player is on the board. So the board, yes, it's based on the die roll because we rolled the die and we moved. But I'm looking at this code saying, this code seems to be communicating to me that it's actually the location on a board where the player is. So you can name it, like Grumpy was saying, a Trivial Pursuit board where each space has a category.
So now there's more of that. There's more of that to do because you have to go through and do subsequent rolls for people and do things like get them in the penalty box and other things. But having gone for an hour, I think this is a good opportunity for opening it up for people who have questions. I've pushed it to the branch.
Gotcha. Thank you. So
that people can see where we're at. Or we could just have a moment where we talk about what we've been doing so far.
It's a great idea.
We call this a retro a little bit.
All right. So I posted a link to it here. Let me get a better link here because it's actually on this branch that we're looking at. I'm going to swap this link out. So here's a link to this branch. If you want to look at the code, it's within the C#. You'll find that Everything else is old. Don't look at the stuff that's more than 2 minutes ago. Open up
Yeah,
the
there's a lot
folder.
there's a lot of other languages. If you're not a C# person, there's a lot of if you like COBOL, hey man.
Yeah, so you like COBOL? Beautiful. Look, nothing wrong with COBOL. COBOL, it's the
No, there's nothing wrong.
language.
Hey, you know what? Lots of more of this world than you'd like to realize runs on COBOL.
And that's okay. That's okay. Okay. There's no COBOL, only Zool.
There is no
Zool.
COBOL, only Zool.
All right. Yeah, so I think it's a great spot to pause for a moment. Feel
Yes.
free to ask questions. If you have questions, ask them. If you use, I do have a question command you can use to add them in there, and we won't miss it in case we're answering another one. Um, I'll open that file's not open right now, but I'll get it open at some point. It should be saving them in there. This is a coding kata. So Grumpy, thank you so much for putting together the coding
No
kata.
worries. This is what I do
for me
at my job.
So every second Sunday, for anyone who's just joined us, every second Sunday, the Grumpy
Of the
Game
month.
Dev.
Not every second Sunday. Every second Sunday of a month.
Every second Saturday. Stop.
Well, it's every
Stop.
second
Reset.
Saturday of the month.
All right.
We're all getting it wrong. Look at us get things wrong.
Every second Saturday of the month. Every second Saturday of the month, Grumpy likes to torture me with a coding kata. This is an exercise to help improve your coding skills, your developer skills, writing tests. This one happens to be a refactor, so there's this intentionally poor piece of code that we're looking at. But here's the interesting. So I'm a teacher. Anyone who doesn't know, I'm a teacher. I teach computer science to ages 10 to 14. I see code like this pretty frequently. This is not actually that. It takes it to an extreme, but I've seen each of these individual things in one form or another. In fact, I'm pretty sure everyone who's programmed has written something in here at some point. It's not that hard to do. Programming is a really complex thing that we do. There's many ways to do something, and so with that complexity, it allows us to make some horrible code that still functions. So this program still functions and runs the way it is intended, I suppose. I don't know what the true intention is.
It runs the way that it was written. That's for
certain. Runs the way it
was written. What it do?
When we run this program, this is the output we get. And we are
with
trying...
With a seed of zero, specifically.
With a seed of zero. So we have modified the code here. Oh, we have. If we give it a seed of zero...
I removed the zero after I ran that.
If we put a zero in, the ideally is we're going to be rewriting this code. We want to rewrite this code without breaking anything. We want to rewrite this code without changing the behavior, not even breaking it, without changing the behavior. And so to do that, we are implementing some tests to ensure that the output remains the same. Does that sound accurate, Grumpy?
Yeah, it seems like what we've been doing. Okay. I didn't hallucinate the whole thing. Neat.
Yeah. And so we haven't actually changed any code yet. We've only added tests. We've only added tests.
We're in no position to...
Yeah. If we modified the code, we'd have very little...
We did do the thing with the right line.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. If we modified the code, our confidence, how much confidence we have that we didn't change the output. That's really what it comes down. What is our confidence level that we didn't change the output? And to help us track the output, we have used dependency injection. So anyone who hasn't heard the word dependency injection, we've created a delegate for doing our output. I'm doing output in quotes now. We originally had console.writelines sprinkled throughout this code anytime we wanted to do output here. So this output comes from console.writelines. And we've swapped that out with a delegate that rather than doing a console.outline, we can actually pass in to our constructor what we want to do with those strings that are getting output. And by default, we're going to write line. But for our test, it's hard to test output. For our tests, we actually are passing a string and using a list of strings. So it starts with an empty list. We can do list.add, so log.add. So we can actually take those and we can examine those. And that's how we are examining the output of this program. That's how we're examining the output of this program. I saw a lot of questions coming in from, I think, just a few people. Let me see if I can get...
Now, how many of them are troll questions?
I know.
I'll ask a troll
I don't
question.
know that we saw any. I'm not sure we have any real questions.
Any non-troll questions?
Let's see here. Questions.txt.txt. Yeah, because I tried to name it questions.txt, but Windows says, "Oh, you want a TXT file? We'll add an extra extension there."
Yo, dog, I heard you like TXT
So
files,
that's
so
where
I
we
put a
are
TXT on your
right
TXT.
now. All right, so this is how I do this these days. Wavy's asking a question about his own code. Wavy, I'm going to save your question for next time when we're doing game dev stuff. Is that okay? I think you said it was okay before. Yeah, hard time with some code. So we're not going to be looking at your code today. I hope that's okay. But let's look at Thindle says, can you give me a story about the first time you drove a car? I can. So
It is certainly possible.
Yes. The answer is yes. I could.
The answer is yes, we can.
I started driving incredibly young. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but my brother, I used to live in a trailer park, and behind the trailer park was just a big dirt mesa. And my brother took me out there driving at one point when I was very young. I don't really remember all that much. And then I also remember my dad used to let me control the shift, so a stick shift in his truck when he was driving. Had me shift while we were driving when I was really young. And then the first time I tried to get my license, I drove a 1963 Super Beetle, yellow Super Beetle. I love that car. Anyway, that's my story. Yes, the answer is yes. Grumpy, would you like to add anything to my story?
No, that is the first time I'm trying to recollect the first time I drove a car, and I don't recollect.
Is go-to awesome? And please explain why the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. It is awesome. And why the answer is yes is because it's still there in your code. It's just spelled BREAK.
Yeah, I was going to say, essentially, we essentially need the go-to to do the things. It turns out it's awesome because it makes programming possible. Luckily, it's also dangerous.
No,
Luckily,
it's not dangerous. Any one of these things can be dangerous. I mean, we just watched where there's array use is dangerous.
Yeah, we let
With
some people.
You do have to bring your own discipline. Well, actually, in modern languages, the discipline is provided for you in that it won't compile because you can't just willy-nilly go to something in a different function, right? So there's a lot of guardrails that have been put up over time.
Yeah, I like that answer. It's easy. It's very, very easy to write spaghetti, but sometimes spaghetti's delicious. That said, it's still very easy to write spaghetti, as you've seen in this.
But like in the tiny basic interpreter that's in C, that's go-to actually makes it the cleanest implementation.
G, have a beautiful day. Thank you for hanging out. Keep coding. Keep growing. Be the best you can be, and you're welcome back anytime, my friend. Then asks, am I annoying? It's Debate-A-Bear. Yes. Dota, how difficult do you think the refactor will be once the tests are written? I have some ideas off the top of my head. On a scale of like the 1 being like super easy to refactor and 10 being the worst thing I've ever had to refactor, probably somewhere around like a 5 or a 6. So somewhere in the middle. It's like about an average horribleness refactor. I've refactored a lot of PHP. Yeah,
what is the difficulty scale?
From a scale, I've refactored a lot of PHP, so I'm going to say that it's not going to be. I don't think it'll be as bad as that. How many tests will we want before refactoring? Until I think
want enough.
Enough, yeah.
Yes.
So the plan is to test as much of the behavior as we can to essentially, if we're testing the full output like this, are we hitting all of the output lines? I would say that we're in a pretty good spot to start it. Yeah. Thindle, what happens if I unpit 12 into subject.roll? I don't understand the question. Do you understand the question?
So if you put basically, what if I put 12 into it? There's no guardrails around the number that goes into roll, but based on looking at the code, it's obvious 1 through 5 because that's what the game runner is doing.
Yeah.
What happens? No, in a different session. So there's a couple lines of code where it goes, "Hey, if the place is greater than 11, then subtract 12." It's like, okay, well, what if that's 3 million? And it doesn't have basically everything after like 24 after all the categories are all rock.
That's true. Look, look. Do you really want to play a generic trivia game, or do you want to play
No,
rock?
we're gonna play rock trivia where if
You
we
know,
go beyond the boundaries of the board, it's just rock trivia.
yeah. And so, is this igneous or sedimentary rock? Where do rocks come from? Is a meteor a rock? Is an asteroid a rock? Is a comet a rock? These are questions that I'm dying to know.
I will tell you, there was a frozen stuff, frozen liquid that I use for a vegetable stock for making soup that was in my freezer because it needs to live longer than it can in the fridge, right? And it fell out onto my foot, and I'm like, yes, ice is a rock. It's just like if a rock fell on my foot. It's the exact same feeling.
If it looks like a rock, if it feels like a rock,
if your
it
foot
quacks,
hurts as though a rock hit it, that's a rock.
if it quacks like a rock, it's a
If
rock.
it quacks like a rock, yes.
Awesome. What are the benefits of writing tests for refactoring? My biggest one is what I'll say with writing tests in general is giving you. It doesn't prove that your code is correct or that it works how you intend it to. Gives you confidence. The biggest thing is it gives you confidence that when you've changed your code, you haven't broken the behavior.
See, that's a shill question because Dota knows that.
I know. I know. Is there anything you'd think we could add to that?
Yeah, but no, you want to increase. Actually two things. One, you want to increase the confidence of what you're writing, and two, you want to reduce the amount of time it takes to get feedback on what you're writing.
Yeah.
Which is a different thing that you want. You want to know as soon as possible if stuff goes sideways.
Yeah. I like that. Your build cycle reduces your build cycle. Your feedback loop is really important.
Yes.
I like that. Great answer. Actual question. Here's a question here.
Well,
Instead of looking it up, can I do a theory that expects an exception?
Yes.
I believe so. Do you know do you know the syntax off the top of your head, Grumpy?
How you would do the exception? No, you would still have to hide it behind, because the problem with attributes, right? There are only certain types that you can pass into attributes.
Oh, with inline data. He's saying
with inline data. Yes, you could put a type in there
for just the one inline.
No, you would have. It would have to be for all of them. It would pass it to, because each one of your inline data is going to call this function with whatever. But you could have. So if you just on the outside of on line 77, if you put, and because we're checked in, and I will just abandon whatever. So hold on, because you can. I'll get here. You do a type. Blah, right? And you might you would have to, there's some more stuff you'd have to do in order to go what type is it that it wants to be. But so type of or something, right?
And then you would have an assertion inside,
and you'd have something to do with blah.
Yeah. So you could do exception in your test. You can do some exceptions.
Generally, but that's if you're getting different types of exceptions, right?
Yeah.
Generally, if you're going to an exceptional path, you'll want to kind of capture that in its own test.
And I think the question was exactly. You want to be a separate test. You'd have a test that says roll for current player, fails, win, and then some. The test would want to start mixing the test in here like that. I think would be. Writing,
you make your test unreadable.
Correct.
And you don't want that.
Yeah, I like that. Good. I think that's a great question. I've done exceptions. I don't know if I've done it with XUnit. I've done it with NUnit, and I've done it in JUnit, which I used many years ago with Java. Okay. Does the Grumpy Game Dev understand how to make a login page work when you click on login or sign up? The
answer is yes. I do know how.
Yes, I think
Next
to
question.
be able. Yeah, next question. I think this question, unfortunately, is just there need to be a little bit more. If you wanted to go into some details, it's a little bit off top what we're doing. Um, we need a little bit more information on like what exactly do you want login and sign up to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes does not adequately answer the question. It is the answer to the question that was
Yeah.
asked, as
All right.
posed.
And there was a question from HOFMC in the chat. Missed, you got to use the question. If you use the question command, you'll get it in there. But I did see it. 'Cause you're a first time chatter. Welcome to Captain Coders Academy. Thank you for hopping in. Can I create my own game studio if I'm the only one making the games? The answer is yes. People do that all the time. There's nothing stopping you but you. That's really
As
what
a
it
matter
comes
of
down
fact,
to.
I'm certain that 90% of the game studios that have ever existed have been one-person game studios.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, in the 90% of the game studios that exist, most of them are in the 99% of the game studios that don't. We'll politely say don't manage to operate in the black at any point.
Yeah, I'm not in the game industry, sadly. Well, I don't know, sadly. When I was a kid, I kind of wanted to be.
Captain, we get you to ship a game on Steam, and you are.
I know. I think that might happen. Probably not this year, but next year. I have some ideas for some stuff I want to actually do. But I don't know who I was talking to. Maybe it was you about.
Probably.
Oh no, it's Irish John,
Irish
Muniz,
Jern.
Jern, Muniz, and Red Cabin Games. We put together a silly little game, Swingtopia. We did something called Code It Forward, where each person gets to spend 4 hours on it, and we don't get to communicate. So I spent 6 hours. On it. Then Muniz spent 6 hours. Then Jern spent 6 hours. Red Cabin spent 6 hours. Then we did another cycle where we each did 4 hours. 4 hours through, and we actually made a pretty fun little game. And there's been a little bit of commotion, a little bit of talks about turning it into something real, maybe publishing it on for free.
Yeah, if you publish that, and as long as you get $1 or just any amount of money, yeah, that's professional. You got paid to write a game. The end.
Then
you're in the game industry. Hooray.
Morphle has an interesting question. I want to use Steam and Blizzard's API in my thesis work, but I don't want to read the terms of use. Is it illegal to use them? I'm not going to give you any legal advice.
We're going to go with the standard. We can do we are not, it's not the I anal, it's the W anal. We are not a lawyer.
We are not a lawyer. That's the first time.
Or just Wannell. We are not lawyers.
Wayne, I like Wannell. That's a tough one.
Also, but it's. I understand that you don't want to read the terms of use, but reading the terms of use is necessary to determine whether it's usable. So it would seem to be a dependency. Yeah. You seem to be dependent on having that knowledge in order to write your paper. So if you don't read it and rely on some random person on the internet's opinion, then you have done yourself, your paper, and your school a disservice.
Yeah. I would definitely look at what their terms are. Like you kind of have to, especially if you're going to be.
Steam does not like you to show some of their the financial stuff like on stream, but on stream I did plenty of coding because with my Steam game there are achievements and whatever. So I connected to the Steam API, but does that make it okay according to their terms of use? I don't know. Why? I didn't fully read it. So can they go, hey, you can't do that? They could, but they haven't.
Yeah. Smab had a good question. And Smab asked, is there a reason why you don't just use something like console.set out and specify a writer rather than changing your code? That was actually my original suggestion. But we haven't. We did modify the code.
We're planning to do it. You absolutely could.
But we didn't. So one thing I'll say is I think the dependency injection like this gives you a little bit more control. And maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it gives me a little bit more control here. My suggestion was to write an interface called like iConsole, and that was probably overkill,
Yeah, you
to
you
do that.
complicated it, Captain.
That was bring it. I brought this up because this is my big problem on the screen. This XKCD comic here of the code lifespan is like how to ensure your code is never reused versus how to ensure it'll live forever. I like to over engineer anything I can. If it's not over engineering, am I really trying? Did you ever see the Red Green show? The Red Green show. There's like a joke on there. If it ain't broke, you're not trying. That's how I feel about over engineering. Am I really a programming if I'm not abstracting everything until we're down to just like a bunch of dictionaries? Awesome. Also,
and the reason that we went with this particular approach is because in the other two sessions that I've run of this kata, something more or less like that is what we did.
yeah, I think that would be overkill. This is sort of like a simplistic thing to pass in. Yeah, so Smab, I think you're good. You have a good point there. That was my initial. That would be my initial suggestion. Is we can write a something that just changes the output. In our test, we'd have to add a little scaffolding when we construct to set it up and when we deconstruct to break it down. It depends on where you want to add that. I think since we are going to refactor, I like this solution better, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, and everyone, you know what they say about
Opinions
opinions.
are like belly buttons.
Everyone has one, and you never remember to wash it. Or is that just me?
You do you, man.
I want to give a quick shout out to Cyan Streams Balint. How you doing, my friend? It's nice to have you here on this beautiful day. Thank you for satiating me with your streams. I love them. If you guys want to learn some stuff, have a beautifully fun, wonderful stream. Check out Cyan Streams. All right, folks. I think that's all. I'll double check. I don't think any new questions came in. We're gonna take a quick break. Is that okay with you, Grumpy? If we take a quick break,
I got to get going anyway.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. I'm going to take a quick break. Grumpy Game Dev's out of here. We've done a push. If you want to see what we've got, we'll be back next month. Second Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us, Grumpy. We will be back. Let's double check. On October 14th, folks. I think I might be on a trip on October 14th for my school. It may be October 21st or 7th. We'll figure it out.
There'll be another time, and yes, there will be more rock questions.
More rock questions. All right, folks. I'm gonna take a quick break. Grumpy's gonna get out of here. I want to give I just gave a shout out to Science. We'll give Grumpy another shout out in a second.
It's fine. Everybody who watches watches Twitch and in this particular niche already knows who I am and just doesn't want to go to my stream.
I'm out of bean water.
You've already got the stream you go to at that time, or it's too late or too early for you.
Exactly. I'm going to get some bean water. I'm going to get some regular water. We're going to come back. We'll do some stretches, so stay tuned, everybody. And I'll be back. Grumpy's going to be gone. Everyone, thank you, Grumpy. Have a beautiful day. And remember, Grumpy, you don't have to remember. Keep coding. Keep growing. Be the best you can be. And get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
All right. Have a beautiful day, my friend.